Manchester Airport is an international airport in Ringway, Manchester, England, 7.5 nautical miles southwest of Manchester city centre. In 2015, it was the third busiest airport in the United Kingdom in terms of passenger numbers. The airport comprises 3 terminals, a goods terminal, and is the only British airport other than London's Heathrow Airport to operate 2 runways over 3,280 yards in length. Manchester Airport has flights to around 225 destinations, and the airport covers an area of 560 hectares. Officially opened on the 25th of June 1938, it was initially known as Ringway Airport. In the Second World War as RAF Ringway, it was a base for the Royal Air Force. The airport is owned and managed by the Manchester Airports Group, a holding company owned by the Australian finance house IFM Investors and the 10 metropolitan borough councils of Greater Manchester, with Manchester City Council owning the largest stake. The airport regularly handled the supersonic Concorde and houses the British Airways GBOAC flagship Concorde at the Manchester Runway Visitor Park. Ringway, after which the airport was named, is a village with a few buildings and church at the southern edge of the airport. The airport handled 23.1 million passengers in 2015, a record high, and has capacity for up to 50 million passengers annually. This potential figure is limited by the airport's restriction to 61 aircraft movements per hour. Future developments include the £800 million Manchester Airport City logistics, manufacturing, office and hotel space next to the airport, and transport improvements such as the SEMMS Relief Road and a high-speed 2-station. History. Early years. Manchester Airport started construction on the 28th of November 1935 and opened partly in June 1937 and completely on the 25th of June 1938, in Ringway parish north of Wilmslow. Its north border was Utrey Lane. Its southeast border was a little west of Altrincham Road. During the Second World War it was the Royal Air Force's base RAF Ringway and was important in military aircraft production and training parachutists. After the Second World War, the base reverted to a civilian airport and gradually expanded to its present size. Historically, Manchester Airport was consistently the busiest airport after London Heathrow for a number of decades following the war. In 1972, the M56 motorway opened to the airport. By 1993, the airport railway station opened. From 1997 to 2001, its second runway was built, causing large-scale protests in the area. Later events. More recently, British Airways have scaled down operations from the Manchester Airport with the sale of the BA Connect subsidiary to Flybe, and the ending of the franchise agreement with GB Airways, a business subsequently sold to EasyJet. In October 2008, the daily New York JFK service was also terminated, and in March 2013, the frequent service to London Gatwick was terminated as well. This leaves a daily high-frequency BA shuttle serving London Heathrow. In codeshare with British Airways, One World Alliance partner American Airlines operations remain in Terminal 3 with daily flights to both New York JFK and Chicago O'Hare. American Airlines has since merged with US Airways, which offers year-round service to Philadelphia and operated a seasonal route to Charlotte, North Carolina in the summer of 2014. Since taking over BA Connect's select routes, Flybe has gone on to add several more destinations. In 2012, Flybe introduced the mini-hub concept, coordinating the arrival and departure times of various domestic services throughout the day and thereby creating combinations such as Norwich, Manchester, Belfast, Glasgow, Manchester, Southampton, or even Edinburgh, Manchester, Exeter, and others to be accomplished in each direction with conveniently short transfer times. In 2013, Virgin Atlantic introduced its Little Red short-haul brand to take up some of the available Heathrow and Gatwick slots. Manchester was the inaugural destination, with services were operated by aircraft wet leased from Aer Lingus. However, these services ceased in March 2015 due to low popularity. Future airport expansion as part of the government's The Future of Air Transport white paper. Manchester Airport published its master plan on its proposed expansions until 2030. Demolition of older buildings, such as old storage buildings, the old Alpha Catering building and Mails Garage, to the east of Terminal 3, has already begun, to make way for a new apron and taxiway towards runway 05L23R and an eastwards extension of Terminal 3, which is planned to provide 15 more covered stands. A full-length parallel taxiway may be added to the second runway and more crossing points added across the first runway to improve ground movements of aircraft. Passenger flow on Terminal 1's gating piers is due to be realigned, with plans to redesign the piers so departures and arrivals do not contraflow on the same level, allowing larger seating areas at the gates, express retail outlets, and a dedicated lounge and gating area for future Airbus A380 flights. Currently, Gate 12, Pier B, has been upgraded to accommodate the A380, the only gate at the airport that can handle this aircraft so far. An early phase of this has seen the removal of the South Bay remote aircraft stands, constructed in 1962 between taxiways Juliet and Kilo, and as a result more recently realigning taxiway Juliet into an extended taxiway Bravo. Terminal 2 is due to receive a major extension to encompass current remote stands to the west. A satellite terminal is also projected for Terminal 2. Between 12 and 15 covered aircraft stands will be made available by this, and airside link for transferring passengers between Terminals 1 and 2 is at the planning stage. Designed in an effort to boost Manchester's chances of becoming a major hub airport and minimize missed connections, Terminal 3 acquired an extra security control area in November 2007, near check-in Area C, dedicated to passengers traveling to common travel area destinations. In January 2008, the usage was extended to all Terminal 3 passengers, with the exception of those destined for Frankfurt, Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport and Brussels. This new security control area is now used for all departures from Terminal 3. The old security area has now closed and the area which it once covered is now part of the Terminal 3 airside departure lounge, housing the retail outlets Accessorize and Dixon's Travel. There are also plans to create a business centre to help encourage businesses to set up in Manchester. Manchester Airport has made no secret of ambitious development plans to meet the growing demand to fly. One document, The Need for Land, outlines many development ideas that have been mooted for decades and will provide required capacity and more jobs over coming years. Those neighboring the airport have natural concerns about how expansion will alter the lives, and Manchester Airport has taken great care to listen to concerns and incorporate feedback to make growth more acceptable. 5 affected areas are: World Logistics Hub. The hub is part of the Airport City Enterprise developments in South Manchester. This development is designed to meet the growing demand for cargo handling space and infrastructure outside of the southeast. Positioned on the southwest side of the A538 road next to the southeast side of the M56 motorway, providing access to the trunk motorway network via Junction 6. DHL of the first tenant and are already using the shed. Another shed is now externally complete, but the inside is now being fitted out in time for September, when Amazon will move in. Over the next decade, the site will generate around 10,000 jobs. As the site grows, increased capacity will be added to the A538 with the extension of the dual carriageway between the M56 and runway tunnels and a traffic light control junction, improving access to the runway, visitor park and romper pub. Passenger terminals. Manchester Airport has 3 passenger terminals. Terminals 1 and 2 are linked by the Skylink, with travelators to aid passengers with the 10 to 15-minute walk. Terminal 3 is linked to Terminal 1 and the Skylink by a covered walkway. The Skylink also connects the terminals to the airport railway station complex and the Radisson Blu Hotel. The Skylink started construction in 1996 and opened 1997. Expansion to the Radisson Hotel was completed in 1998 when the hotel opened. Terminal 1 is used by airlines with scheduled and charter operations, flying to European and other worldwide destinations. It is the largest terminal at the airport. It was opened in 1962 by Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, and it is a base for EasyJet, Jet2 and Thomas Cook. Some other airlines that fly out of Terminal 1 include Aer Lingus, Air Transat, Brussels Airlines, Emirates, Etihad Airways, Lufthansa, Scandinavian Airlines, Swiss, TAP Portugal and Turkish Airlines. Terminal 1 is spread over an area of 110,000 square meters. The terminal has 2 piers, of which combined have 29 stands, of which 15 have air bridges, and is the largest of the 3 terminals. Gate 12 was specially adapted to accommodate the Airbus A380, which is operated by Emirates on the route from Dubai to Manchester. Terminal 1's current capacity is around 11 million passengers a year, compared with an annual capacity of 2.5 million passengers when it first opened. In the summer of 2009, a £50 million redevelopment program for Terminal 1 was completed, which included a new £14 million 14-lane security area. Terminal 1 will not be included in the 10-year airport expansion project and will be closed and demolished by around 2022. However, Pier B in Terminal 1 is due to be kept and will be entirely rebuilt. Terminal 2 is used by a variety of airlines, operating both charter and scheduled flights to many European and worldwide destinations. It opened in 1993 and it is a base for Munich Thomson Airways and Virgin Atlantic. Some other airlines that use the terminal include Air Malta, Singapore Airlines, Qatar Airways and United Airlines. Hainan Airlines has commenced its exclusive direct service to Beijing, China's capital city, since June 2016, becoming the monopoly on North Asia services from the airport. Cathay Pacific returned to the terminal in December 2014 and operative service to the hub at Hong Kong. Terminal 2 is spread over an area of 52,000 square meters. Terminal 2 has 20 gates, of which 14 have air bridges. The design of the terminal makes it capable of extensive expansion. Planning permission already exists for an extension providing additional gates, together with the construction of a satellite pier. Terminal 2's current capacity is around 8 million passengers a year. This will be extended to ultimately handle 25 million passengers a year. In 2007, an £11 million project commenced to redevelop Terminal 2 by improving security facilities and enhancing retail and catering services. It was announced in June 2015 that the airport would have an expansion taking 10 years years to complete. Terminal 2 will be the most developed, adding new piers to the terminal and also create a larger security hall as well as more outlets. There will also be a connecting hallway to Terminal 3. Terminal 3 was opened in 1989 by Diana, Princess of Wales, as Terminal A and had many names before final redesignation as Terminal 3 in May 1998. The terminal was known in succession as Terminal A, Domestic, Terminal 1A, after Terminal 2 opened in 1993, Terminal 1A, British Airways, and Domestic, Terminal 3, British Airways and Domestic, before becoming simply known as Terminal 3. In June 1998, British Airways opened the new £75 million terminal facility designed by Grimshaw Architects, this being a major extension to Terminal 3, and became the primary user of the terminal along with code-share partner airlines. Terminal 3 now spreads over an area of 44,400 square meters. British Airways currently operates a high-frequency shuttle to the main hub at Heathrow Airport from Manchester Terminal 3. It operated a shuttle to its second hub at Gatwick Airport until March 2013, but the route was dropped after a fall in demand. It is now primarily a base for low-cost carriers Flybe and Ryanair. This terminal now handles the majority of domestic routes from Manchester as well as some scheduled European flights. American Airlines operates daily flights to the USA from Terminal 3. Some other airlines that fly out of Terminal 3 include Air France, British Airways, Iberia Express and KLM. Terminal 3 is to get a major expansion during the airport's 10-year expansion project. The terminal is to be expanded as well as also getting a connecting hallway to Terminal 2 so passengers won't have to change terminals between flights. Tenants: the airport has over 50 airline customers operating a global network of scheduled charter and freight services. North American carriers at Manchester include American Airlines, Delta Airlines, United Airlines, Air Transat and Air Canada Rouge. The Virgin Atlantic scheduled USA services are also joined by Thomas Cook Airlines with frequent services to New York, Las Vegas, Orlando and Miami, with Boston and Los Angeles joining in summer 2016. Europe is connected via an extensive range of scheduled and charter services, covering all major alliance hubs, important cities and holiday destinations. Scheduled airlines with a base at Manchester include EasyJet, Flybe, Jet2.com, Monarch Airlines, Ryanair and Virgin Atlantic. Charter airlines with a base at Manchester include Thomas Cook Airlines and Thomson Airways. Manchester Airport offers flights to over 190 destinations across the globe, and 65 tour operators utilize the facility. Many of Manchester's overseas routes are served by charter flights to holiday destinations, some being seasonal. The proportion of scheduled passengers passing through Manchester has increased from 43% in 1991 to 68% during 2009. Airlines and destinations. Passenger Carrot 1 Pakistan International's flight from New York to Lahore is non-stop. However, the flight from Lahore to New York makes a stopover in Manchester, where the airline has fifth freedom rights to board passengers to New York. Cargo statistics. Passenger numbers. Passenger numbers at Manchester reached a record high in 2015 when over 23.1 million passed through the airport, an increase of 5.2% compared with 2014, making Manchester the third busiest airport in the UK in terms of annual passenger throughput. Busiest routes operations. Maintenance bases. Manchester Airport is the home to the engineering bases of Thomas Cook Airlines and Monarch Airlines. Airlines such as Etihad Airways also have one of 6 maintenance bases worldwide in Manchester, with the newly opened line maintenance facility. World Freight Terminal. Manchester Airport has a World Freight Terminal, serving cargo-only freighter services and cargo carried on regular passenger flights. It was opened in 1986, west of the original airfield. There is 5,500,000 square feet of warehouse and office space on site, including a chiller unit for frozen products and a border inspection post. There are 3 aircraft maintenance hangars, with 5 transit sheds, operated by British Airways Regional Carguard, Swissport Cargo, Menzies World Carguard, Plane Handling and Service Air. There are over 100 freight forwarding companies on site. Freight throughput at the airport grew from 94,000 tons in 1997 to the peak at 165,000 tons in 2007, but then declined to around 97,000 tons in 2012, making Manchester the 5th busiest UK airport for freight behind London Heathrow, East Midlands, London Stansted and Gatwick airports. Runways. Manchester Airport has 2 parallel runways. Runway 1 3,048 meters times 45 meters and runway 2 3,050 meters times 45 meters. The parallel runways lie 390 meters apart and staggered by 1,850 meters so that landings can be conducted independently on one runway whilst takeoffs are conducted on the other. The original main runway, then designated 06-24 and initially 3,300 feet in length, opened on the 17th of May 1937 when the airport was used as an RAF base and a military aircraft assembly center. It was extended in stages from 1952, reaching its current length in 1981 to attract long-haul international traffic. As demand and aircraft movements both increased during the mid-1990s, mainly due to the newly completed Terminal 2, the airport studied the option of a second full-length runway. A consultation process began and planning permission was approved in 1997, with construction work starting the same year. The second runway, initially designated 06R24L, became operational on the 5th of February 2001 at a cost of £172 million, and was the first full-length commercial runway to open in Britain for over 20 years. The site where the second runway was constructed was on the southern airfield boundary, which is near the village of Stile in the Cheshire countryside. The project was deemed controversial because of the destruction of natural wildlife habitats and because of changes to flight paths to enable aircraft to fly in and out of the second runway. Aircraft landing from the southwest onto runway 2 fly lower over the residential area of Knutsford, as aircraft rarely land onto runway 2 from the northeast. To take off from runway 2 to the northeast, there has been no change to the path of aircraft over Heald Green, Cheadle and Stockport. Planning permission for runway 2 permits use of both runways between the hours of 0600-2200. At night between the hours of 2200-0600 single runway operations based on runway 1 are used. Exceptions are made for emergencies and planned maintenance. In practice, dual runway operations incorporating runway 2 are only used at peak demand, which is currently in the morning and then again between 1,300 to 2,000 hours. Most aircraft arriving into Manchester Airport use the instrument landing system, which in line with most other airports has a glide slope of 3 degrees equal to descending 318 feet per nautical mile. The prevailing wind direction is westerly, so normally aircraft fly from northeast to southwest. In practice this means that normally aircraft land from the northeast over Stockport, Cheadle and Yield Green and take off towards Knutsford. In dual runway operations, aircraft will usually land onto runway 1 and depart from runway 2 when the wind direction changes, usually affecting 20% of movements per annum. Operations are reversed with aircraft landing from the southwest, lining up to the south over Northwich and over Knutsford and taking off towards Stockport. In dual runway operations, aircraft will usually land onto runway 2 and depart from runway 1. Sometimes aircraft arriving into Manchester Airport are held in stacks, usually in poor weather when the movement rate decreases. The airport has 3 stacks, Dane, MIRSI and ROSUN, each located approximately 15/20ths of a mile from the airport. Dane serves arrivals from the south, ROSUN from the north and east, and MIRSI from the west. If you live within 20 miles of the airport, you'll likely see and hear aircraft. Control Tower. A new control tower was opened on the 25th of June 2013. At 60 meters tall, it is the UK's second tallest control tower, after London Heathrow, and it replaces the old tower on top of Terminal 1. Security. Manchester Airport is policed by the Greater Manchester Police and Manchester Airport Fire Service. Several security-related incidents have occurred at the airport in recent years. In 2002, a security firm successfully smuggled fake explosives, detonators and genuine firearms onto a flight. In 2004, the BBC's whistleblower program revealed security failures at the airport, including faulty metal detectors and a lack of regular random baggage checks. Many of the claims made on the program were later discredited and much of the camera work was found to be misleading. In 2005, police used a taser on a man spotted acting suspiciously on the apron after he appeared to resist arrest. On the 6th of June 2006, Abid Hussain Khan, 21, of West Yorkshire and a 16-year-old boy were arrested at the airport and later charged under Section 57 of the Terrorism Act for conspiracy to murder and conspiracy to cause public nuisance by using poisons or explosives. On the 24th of July 2012, an 11-year-old boy went straight through security and managed to board the nearest boarding flight from security in T1, which happened to be a Jet 2 flight to Rome. Halfway through the flight, one passenger reported him to the cabin crew, who then detained the boy at Rome and put him on the next flight back to Manchester. On the 5th of August 2014, a 47-year-old man was arrested after the pilot of a plane became aware of a potential explosive device on board. This turned out to be a hoax. As a result, Manchester Airport airfield operations were suspended for around 30 minutes whilst the man was led away by armed police. The incident required an escort from an RAF Typhoon jet into Manchester.